This is the sailing bark Eagle, a commissioned vessel in the United States Coast Guard. The commanding officer of the Eagle is one of these three men. What is your name, please?
My name is William Earl.
My name is William Earl.
My name is William Earl.
Only one of these men is the real Captain William Earl. The other two are imposters and will try to fool this panel. Tom Poston, Peggy Cass, Orson Bean, and Kitty Carlisle. On to Tell the Truth with your host, Bud Collier.
Thank you very much. Thank you, and welcome once again to Tell the Truth, brought to you this week by Winston Filter Cigarettes. Good evening, panel.
Good evening, Bud.
That's what I like to hear. Good spirit and all ready to go. So since you are, please open that envelope and follow along as I read this first one. I, Captain William Earl, am commanding officer of the United States Coast Guard training ship Eagle. The Eagle is an 1,800-ton bark and carries some 22,000 square feet of sail on her three masts. She is the only square-rigged sail training ship in this country. For 2.5 months every summer, Eagle takes a crew of 165 Coast Guard cadets on a cruise to European and Caribbean waters. This summer's cruise will be unique. The Eagle will rendezvous at Bermuda with 25 other training windjammers from some 15 foreign countries. The entire fleet will then proceed to New York and through the harbor and into the Hudson River under full sail. It will mark the largest and most spectacular gathering of wind-driven ships in modern times. The event is to be known as Operation Sail. Signed, Captain William Earl. Panel, these three gentlemen all claim to be Captain William Earl, who is the commanding officer of the training ship Eagle. Let's start this questioning with Tom Poston. Tom?
Thank you, Bud. Number three, Captain, who might use a palm on board your ship? It's the name of a thing. Who would use a palm?
Well, we don't have any Mr. Roberts on board the ship. I don't know who.
Not that kind of palm. Number two, do you know?
Never heard of it.
Number one, who would use a palm on your ship?
A sailmaker.
Number one, what are sheets?
They're lines controlling the sails.
Okay. Number two, what's the difference between a sheet and a halyard?
They're both lines.
Well, how does a yard differ from a sheet?
It doesn't much.
Okay, we won't argue about it. Number three, do you happen to know the origin of the term poop deck? What does that really mean? What does it mean, poop deck?
I don't think I better go into that. I don't really know.
That's the deck you go to when you're pooped. Peggy Cass.
Well, all I can say is if you need a deckhand for the summer, I'd be glad to apply. Sounds like a marvelous cruise. Number one, what's a lanyard?
That's a cable.
Number three, what's a brigantine?
A brigantine is a type of sailing vessel.
Number one, what's the difference between a bark and a sloop?
A sloop has one mast and a bark has more than one.
Number two, what's a ship's chandler?
He's the man that takes care of the stores.
Number three, what are scuppers?
Scuppers are the waterways that the water runs out away from the ship.
Oh, number one, how many, do you use cotton sails?
Yes.
Number two is the Constitution.
Orson Bean.
Yeah, number two, does it make you feel romantic to be in charge of a wind-driven ship, I mean, in this day and age?
That's why I'm on it.
It does, gives you a feeling of romance, like you might steal Maureen O'Hara or something and take off.
I'd like that.
Number one, who was Edward Teach?
I don't know.
He was a pirate. Number three, do you know which one he was, Edward Teach?
No, I don't.
Number two, do you know?
Never heard of him.
Number three, do you have absolute power? I mean, could you make a man walk the plank? I mean, if you were far out to sea? Or...
No.
How much power do you have in disciplinary...
Just enough in case the wind sails. Well, Kitty Carlisle.
Can you marry somebody, number 3?
No.
Number 2, what is a mizzen?
It's a mast.
Number 1, what does a spinnaker look like?
It's a large sail on the front of the ship.
Number 2, would you spell bark for me as a ship as opposed to the bark of a tree?
There are 2 spellings. One ends in QE and the other is B-A-R-K.
Thank you.
B-A-R-Q.
Number 3, how old are your cadets?
They run between 18 and 22.
Thank you. Number 1, will you tell me exactly why you do this? What on earth are they going to learn from sailing vessels?
Well, they're going to learn initiative and leadership, seamanship, navigation, meteorology.
Thank you.
And that's it. Time for you now to assess the knowledge that you have and bring it around to where you vote and mark your ballots. Mark them at once without change and, of course, no consultation. Merely vote for number 1, number 2, or number 3. Our team of challengers will receive the usual $250 for every incorrect vote. I see our ballots are all marked, so Tom, for whom did you vote?
I voted for number 1. I felt that the choice was very clear in that case, but because of information. But I also liked his attitude about why kids should learn to sail sailing ships.
Peggy.
Well, I voted for number 1 because when he said they were going to learn initiative and seamanship and numerology and all those things.
Numerology.
Meteorology or whatever. That they were
I like
going to
yours
learn
better.
it. Gee, I'm sorry about that numerology, but...
Orson.
Well, I voted for number 1, too. I think I like what he said about initiative. And to me, that's what you could learn, anything like that. Number 2, good luck with Maureen O'Hara, but I don't think it's you.
Kitty.
Well, I voted for number 1 because he knew what they used a palm for. I don't know what it is, but he sounded very authoritative. And also I liked his answers about, because I really didn't know why they were going on a sailing vessel. And now I do. Thank you.
So there we have it. Unanimous for number 1. That should make it easy. Let's see. It may be easy for success or easy for failure. It's been both ways in the past. Let's see what it is now as we learn the truth by finding out which of these gentlemen actually is the one who is the commanding officer of the training ship Eagle. Will the real Captain William Earl please stand up?
Oh, what?
Beautiful job.
How did he know what a poop deck was? How come he didn't know about it?
He just said, I'm not going to.
I think you have to admit he really learned his subject well, didn't he?
Yes.
That's fantastic. Beautiful job. Beautiful. Number 2, what is your real name? Number 1, Rod, you got most of the votes. What is your real name and what do you really do?
My real name is Dave Millar, and I sell advertising for women's fashion magazines.
You tell him, that's all I got to say. And number 2, what is your real name and what do you really do, sir?
Well, my name is Bill McNellis, and I'm a captain, too. I'm a pilot of an American Airlines Astrojet.
Well, now, Captain Earl, back to you, sir, if I may, for a minute. I understand you're going to have a very important visitor at the Coast Guard Academy this June.
Yes, we are. President Johnson is going to be at the Academy to deliver the commencement address this year and to give the commissions to the cadets himself.
Very exciting. Has that ever happened before at the Coast
No,
Guard?
this is the first time, and we're quite excited about it.
Isn't that wonderful? That'll be a great day, won't it?
Yes, it will.
Well, congratulations on the job you're doing. Believe me, it's been a joy to have you here. I don't have to tell you, I'm sure, that you skunked the panel all the way, which means, of course, it's 4 times $250 or $1,000 coming to you from Winston Cigarettes, as well as a carton of Winston's on your way out. And our sincere thanks to you for giving us an evening of fun. Goodbye, and God bless you. All right, panel, rest easy now. Let's all look at this brief film. Now let's meet our next team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is Scott Ethan Allen. My name is Scott Ethan Allen.
My name is Scott Ethan Allen.
Follow along with this next one, if you will, copies of which you have in front of you, panel. I, Scott Ethan Allen, have been ice skating since I was 4 years old. Currently, I am the United States Senior Figure Skating Champion. Earlier this year, in Innsbruck, Austria, I became the youngest athlete to win a medal in the history of the Winter Olympic Games. Signed, Scott Ethan Allen. Now, panel, you've heard these three young men, as did I, all claiming to be Scott Ethan Allen, figure skating champion. Let's start this cross-examination with Peggy Cass. Peggy?
Thank you. Mr. Scott Ethan Allen, number 2. Are you a descendant of Ethan Allen?
Yes.
Number 3, Ethan Allen had a bunch of soldiers in the Revolutionary War. What were they called?
The Green Mountain Boys.
Number 1, what nationality was Sonia Henne?
Sonia Henne was Norwegian.
Number 2, how many school figures do you have to know to be eligible for the Olympic team?
Well, there are many. You must know all of them. You must go through tests and such, so you must know all of them.
Number 3, where do you skate? What's your home club?
I skate mostly in New York Ice Skating Club, which is there's the rink above Madison Square Garden.
Number 2, on figure skates, what's the difference between figure skates and racing skates?
Racing skates are flat and much longer, and the figure skates have toe pits.
Thank you.
Orson B.
Scott Ethan Allen, number 1. You're a descendant. What state is he from?
He is from Vermont.
And what famous fort did he...
Fort Ticonderoga.
Oh, all right.
Family history.
He was quite a boozer, wasn't he?
I've heard rumors, sir.
Yes, he liked... well, it's cold in Vermont, friends.
Let me clear that up, ladies and gentlemen. It means that he had a habit of going around saying boo to people.
No, I come from Vermont, too, you know.
Oh, I see.
I had a great-great-great-great-grandfather who was a bartender in those days. As a matter of fact, he poured the shot heard round the world. Number 3, what can I do?
Carlisle.
Ask him what I can do about my weak ankles. I wanted to know that.
Number 3, what can you do about Orson Bean's weak ankles?
Well, you can simply tape them for
Tape
support.
them is good?
Yes.
Number 2, what is the capital of Austria?
Capital of Austria, Vienna.
And number 1, how old do you have to be in the Olympic team?
There's no definite age limit to actually be in the Olympics. There's some consider the junior and the senior divisions, but there's no actual age
Are you
limit.
the youngest so far?
I'm the youngest Winter Olympics medal winner, yes.
Number 2, how long do you practice for this, for the number 2?
I've been skating for 10 years.
No, but how long do you practice when you're getting ready for an exhibition?
Each day?
Yes.
5 hours a day.
Tom Poston.
Number 2, when you have snow on the race course or on the how do you get that off?
Well, there are machines to resurface the ice.
Oh, is that so?
Yes.
Well, number 1, how did they get rid of it? Did you have any snow trouble in Innsbruck?
No, because we used the stadium, and the only other portion for skating was the outdoor speed skating rink.
Oh, well, how did they get the snow off that?
Well, they just have the usual machines which are used at most skating rinks.
Thank you. Number 3, you seem to have an accent. Is there? Do you?
No.
Where do you actually live? Number 3.
In Smoke Rise, New Jersey. Smoke Rise.
Thank you.
And that's it. Time for you now to brush up on your figure skating and mark the figures down on your ballots. Vote at once, if you will, please, for the one you think is the real one, without any consultation, of course. Simply vote for number 1, number 2, or number 3.
Yeah, I forgot to ask about my friend Dick Button.
Well, you can ask him later on, after you find out who the real one is. But right now, have you all marked?
I didn't vote yet because I was put off horribly.
Put upon or put
I
off?
voted for the wrong one.
Very well. Tom, for whom did you vote?
Well, there wasn't any snow at Innsbruck, so I couldn't vote for number 1, who I was going to vote for until he said that to me. So then I had to vote for a guess. I guess number 3.
Peggy Cass.
I think I voted for the wrong one. But I voted for number 3 because he's sort of skinny and looks like a skater.
Orson.
Well, I voted for number 1. He looks like Ethan Allen and Francis Marion, the Swamp Fox, and all those wildcats. And he looks like he could put down a little of the vile stuff, too, like his predecessor. So he has an outdoor, healthy look, you know. And take it, Kitty.
Kitty Carlisle.
Really? I voted for number 2 because of the way he said that he skated 5 hours a day. He looked as though he really meant it, and that's quite a lot to practice for anything.
Well, you're playing it safer this time. 2 for number 3, 1 for number 1, 1 for number 2, and with that we move into our charm circle of truth to learn now which one of these young men actually is the senior figure skating champion of the United States. So will the real Scott Ethan Allen please stand up? Oh, my. Thank you, and our sincere congratulations, young man. I wish you a long and very happy career, one as fine as his friend, Mr. Button, who really set a mark to shoot at, didn't he?
Sure did.
Number one, what is your real name and what do you really do?
My name is Jack Schmidt, and I'm a student at Xavier High School here in New York.
And number three, what is your real name and what do you do, sir? You got most of the votes.
My name is Peter Altschiller, and I'm a junior at the Dwight School in New York.
Just for the record, before you leave us, young man, how old are you?
15.
15 years old?
15.
Well, you've done well in your first 15 years, believe me. In checking over the score, we find that there were 1, 2, 3 incorrect votes, and that times $250 will keep those smiles in your faces quite a while because you divide $750, young men. Thank you very much for being with us. Continued success. Goodbye, and God bless you. Mr. Scott Ethan Allen has requested, since he is an amateur athlete, that his winnings be sent to the 1961 United States World Figure Skating Team Memorial Fund. And, of course, this shall be done. Now, we'll put the panel back to work in just a minute. Meantime, here's something you should know. Let's meet our third team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is Louis Larimore.
My name is Louis Larimore.
My name is Louis Larimore.
Follow along once again, panel, if you will, please, with your copies of this one. I, Louis Larimore, have always made a living with my feet. 2 years ago, I gave up my job as a dancing teacher and decided to waltz, mambo, and twist my way across the United States. Starting out in California, I danced along the highways and byways of the country for 1,600 miles until I was forced to quit just outside of Peabody, Kansas. Last September, I decided to combine two art forms, dancing and painting. The picture you are now looking at is my interpretation of the cha-cha and the mambo. This one represents the Mexican hat dance. And this last painting is a combination of the hully-gully, the mashed potato, and the slop. My technique is rather unusual. I painted all the pictures you saw by dancing on the canvas with my bare feet. Signed, Louis Larimore. So these three gentlemen all claim to be Louis Larimore, dancing painter, I guess you might call him. And let's start this round with Orson Bean. Orson?
Yes, number three, the one under you there, the one that's a little more slop than mashed potato. How do you, number three, the one that was called the slop and the mashed potato and the hully-gully, which part is the slop?
The biggest splash is the slop.
And the mashed potato is where? I think there's a little on the corner there.
That's scattered about here and there.
I see. That's extraordinary. I like the first one best up there. Now, what do you wash your, number two, what do you wash your feet with? I mean, afterwards, I know it's always a problem for an artist to wash his brushes, and you have the larger problem.
Well, with this one, I was able to use turpentine because I used oil.
Does it hurt?
Yeah, it does.
Well, I was grumpy artist.
Kitty Carlisle.
Well, I must say, number one, that this is very beautiful, but it looks as though the design is fruit, pears and apples. Are your feet,
Pear-shaped?
Fruit. Pear-shaped.
No, there are a couple of peaches.
Number two, what is tempera made of?
It's a water-based paint.
A water-based paint?
Yep.
Number three, what is pastel made of?
Some of it, you can use it either in water or you can use the oil base to get the pastel colors.
I
It all
see.
depends on how you want to do it.
Number one, it says that you danced all through these places. Did you dance in the byways, on the highways, or did you dance in closed structures like dance halls?
I danced down the road.
You danced down the road. Why?
It was a bet.
Tom Poston.
Bet.
It was a bet. Oh, was it? Number one, were you barefoot when you danced down the road?
No,
Or just when you paint?
just when I painted.
Thank you. Number 3, do you know who Killer Joe is? Killer Joe Pirro?
Yes, he's the gentleman who invented the Mambra, I believe.
Number 2, what size shoe do you actually wear? And mind you, I'm looking at your footprint when you ask.
10.5C.
Why, that looks like a 9C to me, then. Number 1, in your Mexican hat dance, it looks like a child's foot. Why are they so diminutive on that particular painting?
It's my print.
It's your own?
It's on my own print.
Peggy Cass.
Number 2, are your feet in good shape after all this painting?
Yeah, after the painting they were.
Well, number 3, I know number 2 said he washed his feet in turpentine, but how do you really get the paint off?
Well, in the pastel, of course, I mean, in the watercolors, you can just wash it in water. But, well, you use the oil, you use the turpentine, wipe it off, and then take a quick bath afterwards.
I see. Number 1, who started painting by dribbling on canvas?
I don't know who started it.
Number 3, who is Jackson Pollock?
He's a great painter, a splash painter, I think they call him.
That's all the time we have, I'm sorry to say, if you'll forgive me for breaking in there, because it is time for you now to mark your ballot. So take your bare feet and mark your ballot. At once, if you will, without any consultation, of course. Simply vote for number 1, number 2, or number 3. All ballots are marked. So, Tom, for whom did you vote?
I voted for number 1. He looked erect and sort of light on his feet like a hoofer. I don't know what to say about his painting.
Peggy.
Well, I voted for 1, too. I thought temper had something to do with eggs, and I always thought pastel was like chalk. So I voted for number 1, and especially I like the way that he dances down the road like a gypsy.
Orson Bean.
Well, even if I'm all wrong, which it sounds like I am, I voted for number 3 because he knew about Killer Joe and Jackson Pollock being a splash-type painter, and he has a twinkle in his eye, and I like him. So I'm with you, even if take the money. What the hell?
Kitty.
I voted for number 1 because I think he's got peachy feet. And also because I did think that tempera has an egg base, which I asked. And number 3, I asked about the, and I think pastel is a chalk base. However, I think they all look absolutely adorable.
Well, there you have it then. There are 3 for number 1 this time and 1 for number 3. With that, we move into our charm circle of truth. Let's see what the result will be as we look truth straight in the face, whether it stares back at us or not or looks away, as we learn which of these gentlemen actually is the dancing painter. So will the real Louis Larimore please stand up?
Oh.
Well, I don't know if it was the twinkle that got it or what, but you did well on that one. You redeemed yourselves, panel. You must feel a whole lot better with that one, I'm sure. Number 2, what is your real name and what do you really do?
My name is Churchill Semple. I'm president of Feature Research Limited. We do research for writers.
And number 3, what is your real name and what do you do, sir?
My name is L.W. Upshaw. I'm the Executive General Chairman of the Montana Territorial Centennial Commission.
Well, gentlemen, we checked the score only to find there was only 1 incorrect vote this time, which is a total of $250 for you gentlemen to divide. I do hope that you enjoyed your visit here as much as we enjoyed being your hosts. And also, of course, this comes to you by way of Winston cigarettes, as does a carton of Winston's on your way out. Thank you, gentlemen. Most humbly, goodbye, and God bless you. We'll be back in a moment after this message of interest. Time for tonight, except to remind you that company's coming. Hundreds of thousands of visitors are coming from overseas to the USA, and let's show them a good time. Friendly Americans win America friends. Orson, how's your show, Home Movies, going?
Home Movies is at the Provincetown Playhouse in the heart of the beatnik nut section of Greenwich Village, and I want all those hundreds of thousands of people from overseas to come and see it.
Fair enough. And good night, panel. Thank you for being you. Good night to all of you. Don't forget to join us again next week at the same time. I'll see you tomorrow afternoon on the daytime show, of course. In the meantime, speaking for Winston, don't forget to tell the truth. Good night, everybody.
To Tell the Truth is a Mark Woodson, Bill Todman production. Tell the Truth has been brought to you by Winston Filter Cigarettes. Winston tastes good like a cigarette should. This is Johnny Olson speaking for To Tell the Truth, the program recorded.